Hey everyone, welcome back and happy Wednesday. All right, guys. Well, we have a lot to talk about, lots to discuss because last night we got the new episode of The Valley, but we also got the premiere of NextGen NYC. Now, I know for so long you guys were asking me about Jason, my husband, and Anchor Watch, and I think that they were on like a little over a year hiatus, but they came back last night for Anchor Watch. So that's amazing. They did a 10:30 live show, him and Gelsey, who you will be seeing on every single Tuesday night, probably same time, 10:30. And on top of that, we celebrated 5 years of being on YouTube, which is incredible. So thank you guys to the Up and Adams family community. I think you guys are the best. And on top of that, when Jason is not on live and you guys think that I'm hiding him in the basement, I am not, but he has been working on something super, super special. It is on the Up and Adam Live channel. We dropped it, I believe it's almost 2 weeks on Friday that we dropped it. But we have Bravo news, celebrity news, reviews, blind items, and now we're implementing a new watch party activation. So starting on Monday, when you're watching your favorite shows, you're going to be watching them with us on upandadamlive.com in a live chat where we're just going to go in real time and give all of the feedback. I think it's going to be so much fun. And again, it's just expanding the Up and Adams family community. So thank you guys. I love you. In the live chat, smash the like button, show some love. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. And don't forget to let us know where you're watching from. Let's welcome someone who has never been on our channel before, Thea from Your Moms Are Watching. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Long time listener, first time caller. That's what we used to say, like in radio. Long time first time caller.
You're in LA, right?
No, I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Okay.
I know. I lived in LA forever, but I moved back east finally.
Okay. So you were, obviously you have a whole background in all of this, entertainment, communications, all of it.
Right. I was a development girl in Hollywood. So I worked for Julia Roberts and Jennifer Lopez and Harold Ramis, finding them projects to produce and star in. That's what I did.
God. Okay. So I'm probably a lot more boring. I don't have that background, but I think it's always so much fun coming on. You know, when we get to meet new people, it's even when I first started my channel, before I even launched my YouTube channel, I collected 10 different interviews with different Bravo celebrities or 90 Day Fiance people or celebrity people. And I dropped all 10 kind of at the same time. And that was the kickoff to my channel. And those were some of my favorite moments. And then that kind of progressed into doing actual like productions as far as interviews. And now over like the past 2 years, my husband and I, we have moved maybe 4 times in like 2 years, just kind of investing ourselves into real estate and everything. And it's been nonstop. But now that we're settled in Hilton Head, we're in South Carolina, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to just get back in and like do the damn thing, Thea. Do it.
South Carolina, lovely. That's probably sounds lovely where you are. New Jersey is not as lovely, but it's close to the city. So I love that because I lived in New York for 20 years before I was out in Los Angeles. So I love living near home, but I have kids and a husband and a house and stuff. So I'm out of the LA scene.
Yeah, trust me. I don't want to go back. I'm out of it too. I was in LA for a long time. That's where I met Jason, and we used to work for Lisa Vanderpump, and we were in Sherman Oaks and West Hollywood and Beverly Hills and downtown. And now that I'm out of it, I'm like, oh, you couldn't pay me. No offense to anybody who lives there. I love you guys. You could not pay me to go back into the hustle and bustle of it.
No, it is. So I just visited like a month ago. I stayed. It's so funny. I stayed with my friend she's like Phaedra, Brandy, Tom Sandoval. She's a publicist for them. And I stayed in her house, and Brandy had just stayed there the week before. And then Phaedra was coming that night that I arrived and was going to stay there. And we were all going to be in the same house. And then Adrienne called. She was like, I'm so sorry. I got the dates mixed up. And I guess you guys are going to be overlapping. And I'm like, I have my kids with me. And I was like, this is LA. This is LA though. This is absolutely like everybody is celeb adjacent. Everybody is in the biz. And it's such a rat race, such a hustle. I definitely don't have that in me anymore. No way.
Yeah.
But good for those people who are out there doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, you know, it's a different energy, but
right.
Well, obviously last night, you guys, we all watched, and I'm going to start with the Valley before we get into NextGen NYC in the live chat. I'm curious to see what you guys thought of last night's episode. You know that we kind of don't hold back here, and it hits a little close to home with us because I grew up with a lot of these people throughout my 20s. I know everybody really, really well. And I think that watching the show, I had high hopes after season 1 for the Valley, but season 2 has sort of taken a turn for me.
It's dark. It's dark.
It's dark. Yeah.
Mhm.
So 1 to 10, Thea, like 10 being the highest and the best the episode could have possibly have been, and 1 obviously being the complete opposite. What are you giving last night's episode?
I mean, I'm still going to give it a 4, which is generous, but only because we got to see, even though it was rough to watch, I think it's great to see Jax at his worst because then we all can really see who he is. Having him text the producer, I mean, how creepy is that? So although I found it a very kind of boring episode, it definitely got under my skin in a few areas. So it wasn't like the most compelling television I've ever seen. I did feel it was illuminating because I think the more we see of the real Jax, the less we believe some of the stuff that he's been trying to sell.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I feel like everybody is giving me a little bit of whiplash and a certain component of hypocrisy. And I'm looking at Jax and I see this. I'm looking at Brittany a little bit and I see it. I'm
Definitely.
looking at Jasmine Good and I see it. And let's just go to the beach party, right? Or this beach day.
Right.
We go to the beach day. We have everybody show up. And clearly we know that Jason and Janet Caperna, they were faced with this whole rumor that Jason, which, by the way, I hate that this came from 3 years ago. I'm like, why are we even bringing this up now? Why
And
didn't
do
you
you know where that originated? Do you know?
No.
It's Rachel is Jeremy Madix's fiance. That's who told Jasmine that Jason was at a bar with his ring off. And when it's so bizarre that they keep hiding that, like, just say it. But I think partly it might be because they're not supposed to be talking about people who don't agree to be on the show. Although they just interviewed to be on next season. They just tested her and Jeremy. So it's bizarre, right? Like, just say Rachel said it, or someone, like, it's bizarre that they're leaving that out of the conversation so that it looks like Jasmine went running to Kristen with this information out of the blue or made it up when it for sure was someone that they all know, a friend of all of them. I don't get it.
I didn't even know that. And I've known Jeremy for a long time too. And by the way,
I love Jeremy and Rachel. I'm not saying this to be mean about them. I'm just saying this is where it came from.
No, I don't think it's mean at all. I think that 1, oh my God, thank you. I love learning something new. And 2, it's funny because I didn't clown Jeremy at all about this. I just thought it was a stupid decision when he was trying to fly out of Florida and go to Germany and he got caught with all of that, like the substance. And I'm like, first of all, you were getting on an international flight. If anybody's ever flown international, it's like you're going through it. You're going through gate after gate. They're checking you. I don't even know. I would never even have the goal to even try to do. They did
get up to the desk, though, to the gate. So they got through like TSA and all that. Then they got caught at the gate. So something I guess there is that chance that you're going to get through. I don't know. I mean, I've never even discussed. I know Jeremy and Rachel online. No, like para, no, not in real life. But I've never even asked about it because I just feel like this is private. But I remember her saying to me, that it was he got taken advantage of by the person who he was going with. So I don't know how much he knew about it. I'm sure he knew, but I think that once in a while you do get away with something like this because they got through the main part of security, like where supposedly you maybe would see dogs or somebody would look through an x-ray, like all that worked fine. But then I don't know what got them at the gate, but something got them, obviously.
Oy.
So I guess you're just looking at that big payout at the end of if you happen to get through.
You're like, I'm almost there. No, I've watched too much Locked Up Abroad, but
Jeremy, they dropped the charges.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So something must have happened, right?
Right.
And I know that unless you know something I don't believe he has much of a relationship with Ariana anymore. And
they made up now. They're now just recently, supposedly, allegedly, they're back in good graces. But this is like in the last 3 months. So hopefully that'll stay. They didn't talk for a long time because of the Sandoval of it all. Sandoval kind of creeping behind the scenes and trying to be friends with everyone. And Rachel and Jeremy let him back in, and Ariana was like, no way. So that's what happened. But now I mean, that's so long ago. Who cares anymore? I feel like, and he said he told me that they did make up. So
Well, and that's good though, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're siblings and all you have in this life, you know, friends come and go, but family is forever. So that is,
No, I'm glad about that too. Yeah.
it's important to know. But, you know, at the beach day, we know that this whole thing is about to come to a head. We know that Jasmine Good and Kristen Doty and Luke, they're walking up and they know that this is about to be like a shit day.
Right.
And then Janet and Jason, you can see like the anxiety is like there. They know that they're gonna have to address this. I'm sure production told all of them before, like this conversation is coming up. But before I get into that, what are your thoughts with how production is pushing Sheena and Lala into the valley?
There's as we were talking before we started the show about how if this is a money, this is a corporation, right? So they're putting these people on there to try to get some of the Vanderpump fan base, which is huge. I mean, they had 1 million viewers for their reunion at Vanderpump, right? So now you have the Valley, which is only pulling like 400,000. So you're putting these people on just to grab some of their fans. I don't think they really care if they're part of the storyline. Lala didn't even say anything at the beach. She was just sitting there. Sheena actually is integral to a lot of these friendships. So it would be, I know people hate her on here, but it would be interesting if they would let her be part of the storyline. I just don't think they have the camera time for that. And she even said that there was a lot more to this conversation. Last episode, she came out and said, I wish they showed more. So I do think she might have something to add in terms of how close she is to all these people, but they're just not letting her because they need too much camera time for the Jax thing and for the Janet versus Jasmine thing. And so I don't know. It does not feel authentic. It does not feel organic. It's annoying. I'm annoyed along with everyone else. Even if you love Lala and love Sheena, they just feel out of place. But I just think that all they're trying to do is to grab some of those Vanderpump fans, you know, and some of the big social media following. Like Lala has fans, Sheena has fans. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense, right? I don't know if you agree.
No, I do actually agree with that. And I think that, you know, I think it's smart. I think it's a totally different show. I think that they probably don't have to pay them the Vanderpump Rules
No,
the same
not
money.
Even close. Right. Trust me.
Exactly.
Although they were telling me that they do make more. They make more than the normal cast of the Valley. The OGs, when they come on, do make more than anyone else. A per episode, per episode fee is more than the OG cast. But you don't have to pay it every episode, and they're not in any contract to do a season. So ultimately, it's cheaper for Bravo just to throw them on a few episodes. They still pay them a lot, but it's nothing compared to Vanderpump salaries.
Oy. Okay. All right. So then we end up getting the conversation where Jason Caperna ends up pulling Jasmine and him and Janet walk over to talk to Jasmine. And this goes so left, right?
Right.
And I kind of felt, and I've not had a very popular, I guess, people have not reacted to my opinion like it is the most popular, but I kind of feel like there have been a few storylines here that were just, that's exactly what they feel like. They seem very orchestrated, pre-produced, like, okay, well, you know, The Ring or the Danny Bucco of it all. And we're just really kind of like beating this thing like a dead horse. That's called PETA. That's what I always say. Like, I feel like that's what we're doing. And when I saw the conversation and it just went so left and then everybody's yelling at each other, I'm like, what actually are we arguing about at this point? This was 3 years ago.
No, it feels bad. And I'm so confused as to why they think they need this forced stuff. I mean, I feel like there must be other drama out there to do with this cast that we can focus on. I mean, these people are all a hot mess. It seems, but it's true. They definitely decided this Ring was going to be a storyline. Let's push this. And that's a producer thing. So I'm confused by it as well because it's done. We're over it. And the only thing that made it a little bit interesting is how personal the fight got. Like, obviously, we're now seeing that Jasmine hates Janet, which seems like a surprise to Janet, right? So I guess that brought that out. Otherwise, Janet would think everyone loves her. And that's the only good kind of thing moving forward because I guess a lot happens in the next half of the season to do with Janet and I guess maybe we'll see the point of all this. I don't know. I hope.
I'm trying to understand, you know, and maybe you don't agree with me, but I'm just trying to understand where the fans turned on Janet so hard. Because if you see the fan feedback when it comes to Janet Caperna, like a lot of fans, it's not like we're indifferent or, you know, she's okay or not. It's like they either like her or they really hate her. And I'm like, where did this happen along the way? Like, I haven't missed an episode, you know? unless I'm just missing something.
I liken her a little bit to almost like the Teddy Mellencamp syndrome, which is that and the Joe Wenberg syndrome, which is that they lack that gene that makes them embarrassed or like self-aware, and fans hate that. They like for you to show a little shame when you mess up. And I think that they think Janet is a little bit grating, right? Which she is. I could see that. I mean, I don't hate Janet, but I could see how she could be a little annoying in terms of pushing herself into situations. But everyone pushes themselves into situations. Kristen does it. I think with Janet, there is this thing where she's oblivious to the hatred or doesn't care, doesn't capitulate to it. And I think that annoys fans. I don't think they like that when you don't know that you're annoying. I don't know. I can't figure it out either. People really do hate her. All of my followers message me constantly about how much they hate Janet. So she's one of those people that I like Teddy, like Joe, that no one's ever going to like her. I don't even think if she got a good storyline, they would like her. I just think she might be a little bit annoying.
Wow.
I feel bad too because I don't hate her.
Sorry, Janet. Sorry. But, you know, it's also funny because, like I said at the very beginning of this, I am friends with a lot of the cast members, and clearly you have connections too and ties to some of these cast members. But I was told, and I don't know how much of this is true, when it comes down to the Danny Bucco and Nia situation, that there is a lot more dark behavior from Danny that is going to unfold.
Right. That's going to be the second half of the season for sure. Supposedly.
Yeah, and I didn't realize now what I'm being told from people behind the scenes is that there was a situation with another one of their friends who's not on the show, who's married, where he apparently like was accused of groping her, grabbing her, touching her butt, or doing something. And I'm like, Danny Bucco, man, this was all in your favor. People loved you guys. Like if I was Nia, I would look at him and I'd be like, you are ruining everything right now.
I mean, I still love Danny. I guess they could possibly make me hate him. I know Nia from, my sister was Nia and Rachel's pageant coach back in the pageant days. So I know Nia through my sister. My sister loves her. She is just an angel on earth. So this is my take, and I don't know because I haven't seen what the drama is. I mean, how bad could it be with Danny? But according to my sister, it's a little bit of a shtick in terms of like, he doesn't cheat, he doesn't act on it, but he is gropey. So I don't know, like, is that really going to make me hate him that when he gets drunk, he gets like flirty? I don't know. I mean, I guess they could possibly make me hate him. They will never make me hate Nia because I feel like she's part of my family. I don't know her that well, but my sister has known her for a long time.
She's like an American sweetheart. And yeah. I think for her too, one of the things that Jason and I, when we've watched the show, and I see where the cast goes against her for defending her husband or having his back. And she has reiterated so many times, this is the father of my children. This is my husband. When this show is gone, I will still be with him. And I have a certain level of respect because you can see her in her face where there's not one part of me that doesn't believe that when the cameras aren't rolling, that she pulls him to the side and is like,
right.
What are you doing?
You can't act like, well, you understand that you're married to someone who was in the public eye or is in the public eye. If people hate him, you're going to defend him no matter what. I mean, that's it. That's love. So yeah. And I feel like she is kind of hard on him. Like she's definitely talked him down a few times in the show. It's not like she sits there like Janet and Jason, where Jason is like completely, 100% on his wife's side without even pointing out when she might be wrong. I feel like Nia does point out when he's wrong. But again, I guess we have to know how bad his behavior is. I mean, if your husband's gropey, but he never acts on it, he doesn't, if he's not cheating, maybe you just think like that's Danny. He's crazy when he's drunk. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how far she goes to defend him if really bad behavior does come out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that it goes back to the same thing. Like I operate in the same way that Nia does when it comes to my relationship or also like my family. If there are moments, like I have no problem having these conversations with my family, and sometimes they don't go the best way. But right. As far as like being out publicly or in front of other people, I'm always going to have a united front with them. And when I go back into the comfort of my own home or in a situation where I know I can have a private conversation, it's a totally different situation, you know?
Right. I mean, and they're on camera. They're potentially hundreds of thousands of people watching. So that is the one place where you have to be united, because you're portraying something that's going to be clipped out and live on the internet forever. And you have kids now, 4 kids at the time of filming, 3 kids. So just for the sake of that, which is something Jax and Brittany obviously haven't learned, but just for the sake of your kids will be seeing this. I don't know. I mean, it's such a hard line to walk with reality TV, right? Because you're supposed to air your dirty laundry. It's part of the show. But on the other hand, like I said, I hope that the case is there isn't any real dirty laundry. It's just some yucky behavior that hopefully will be cleared up after the season's over. And then we can move on, because I do love both of them. But we'll see. I guess it just, how bad does it get? It's not, I hope he's learning. He seems, I mean, his apology when he sat down with Jasmine was so sincere and so self-deprecating, and so seemed to be taking such accountability. I mean, I could be completely being fooled right now by him. I have no idea. I don't know him in real life. So maybe I think he seems like he's the kind of person that will learn from all this.
That's so okay. I'm glad that I'm not alone in that. That's how I felt too. And also, this is where I got negative feedback to a certain extent. I said when I watched, the conversations that Jasmine was having with the group, my thing is if you are put in a position where somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, that's never okay. Right. However, for me, if somebody came to me and apologized, I'm going to choose in that moment. I'm not just accepting your apology if I don't believe it, or if I don't want to, or if I'm not over it. I won't accept your apology. I will be like, thank you for the apology. I'm going to take my space from you. And that's where we're at. But, this is over two times that we've had the apology. And now I'm kind of like, I feel like we're beating something to death.
Right. And who knows if producers are pushing that or not. That's the one thing. Like, and Jasmine needs camera time, and she's not obviously going to share that much else going on with her. And those kind of people, when they get on shows, they beat stuff just for the camera time. I don't know which it is, but something is awry here, because there's no way they could still be bothering her. Here's a harmless guy. I mean, the incident happened. You deserved an apology. You deserve your day to talk about it. And she was saying that she really pushed it to bring light upon the fact of when you're harassing a lesbian couple, because it makes her feel like you don't take her sexuality or her relationship seriously. Like, oh, I can hit on you. You're a lesbian. Like, what do you care? Like, yes, but I'm in a committed relationship. I'm married. So it's not okay. And you think it's okay because we're 2 girls. And that goes back to homophobia and all that. And so that I guess I can understand and maybe forgive her for belaboring it. But to assassinate his character because of it now doesn't feel fair to me.
Right. Well, Danny, we're going to move on from you. And Jasmine, we're still loving you and all of you guys on the show. But somebody who you don't have to sit there and assassinate their character because they'll just do it to themselves, that would be Mr. Jax Taylor. And we have a couple things here, Thea, that we need to discuss really quick. One, when Brittany's sitting there having a private conversation, but on camera, and Jax knows exactly what the conversation is, and she knows that the cameras, so for me, I have cameras in my home, and my cameras do not have audio, but I bought my house with cameras in it already. And so we switched it over and we have the surveillance, which I actually really love and enjoy, especially because we go out of town and people watch our animals and stuff. And I want to know what people are doing in my house. Right. But there's no audio. And so when she said that, I'm like, oh, same, So when Jax is chiming in and sending text messages saying, I know exactly what you're saying. This is bullshit. Like, this is
childish.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing? And she's like,
I hope we need to address this. Like, what does he have it bugged? Like, how is he listening? I mean, she didn't even address it on the after show. I watched it. I really would love to know how he heard that. It's very interesting.
I have 2 theories.
Okay.
No, I think that either one, production is trying to get him in as much as possible, so they're letting him in on what the conversation is at that time.
That would be crazy, but okay.
But it could be possible. It could be possible. Listen, production has the tendency. It's one of my favorite stories. But like back when they were filming Vanderpump Rules and Jason was running Pump, there was a time where they had Kristen Doty coming in to have a conversation, and the whole cast was there. And they kept on. She was like, "Okay, well, my call time was this time," and they're like, "No, we're not ready for you.
I think I know this story because I'm friends with the DP for Vanderpump. So
okay.
Go on.
They were like, we're going to grab you a drink. So she goes and grabs a drink. She comes back and she's like, guys, what are we doing? You know, like I have somewhere else to be. You said this was going to be a 15, whatever. And they're like, just have another drink. Third drink, she comes back over and she's like, what are we doing? And they were like, oh, we're ready for you. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying is like, this doesn't apply to all production, teams or Evolution or nothing like that. But what I'm trying to say is you do have sometimes people who will try to progress storylines and they will try to make it more interesting and they will do what they need to do in order to deliver a show because they are 1099. And after filming a show, I mean, you know this, like you don't know where your next show is.
No.
So it could happen or the place was bugged.
I mean, I feel like the latter. I feel like he's got something in there recording, some camera that is recording, which of course you can buy, at freaking Best Buy or wherever. You can go buy a camera and put it in a teddy bear that records. Like that does exist, but it would have to be, I mean, it would have to be placed somewhere, like the producers maybe placed it where they could hear it. Maybe that happened so that he could chime in. I could see like kind of a co-effort. I don't know. I mean, no matter what, that's an invasion of privacy. They're divorcing. That's not your home anymore. It's crazy. And I really hope that production would, after that, intervene and say, well, that's not okay. I mean, the fact that they even showed it on camera, it kind of felt like they were condoning it in a way. It was a little creepy on production side too. Like, are you guys condoning that this kid's spying? I mean, if I was a production person, I would say that's out of bounds. We're not going to include this. I don't know.
And what did you think about the missing wedding ring?
Come on. Did you see him on the after show? He is so clearly lying. I would have given him the benefit of the doubt. If I didn't see the after show, I would have said, he probably has it in a safe. It doesn't mean necessarily went out and pocked it. I mean, the guy isn't like, a meth user that like needs cash for his meth. He's got okay. He's doing okay. So that feels rash and feels weird that he would lie about something like that because so obviously figured out by Brittany. But on the after show, when he was talking about it, he said it was in a safe. He stumbled over his words so much and his story was so weird that all of a sudden I started thinking, did this dude sell those? I don't know. It sounds strange that he would need that much money so quickly. Like pawning something is a big deal, right? Like you really need cash quickly. What does Jax need that much cash for quickly? It was bizarre. I mean, I could see him doing something vengeful with it, like throwing it off a bridge. But I don't know. I have to, of course, but after seeing on the after show, I think he's lying about something to do with the ring. I don't know if that means he sold it or what.
Well, and also I think that there are some people out there who are very clever and creative with manipulation. Is that what a narcissist is?
That they manipulate?
Like somebody who like makes you feel bad for them. They give you a sob story. They tell you how changed they are. Yeah. And then they tell you something that kind of sways your opinion, but down like as soon as they get off the phone, it's like the horns like grow back out of their head and they're like,
no, 100%. Yeah, narcissists, they thrive off attention, so they want their attention any way they can get it, and they have to always put down the person that is coming for them. So they have to find a way to make them seem like there's something wrong with them. And so also, yes, like, oh, poor Jax, and I don't know. But I mean, talking about like the ring was in the safe, but just show the rings then if you have them. Like it's very easy to do. You're out of rehab, you're on the after show, you're filming. So if you have the rings and they're still there, obviously, right, you bring them with you, say, here's the rings, they're safe and sound. But he didn't. He just kept saying, like, they're in the safe. Well, where, then show us, because no one believes you.
All you have to do is post a photo. Any normal person would just post a photo and be like, right here.
The photo right on top of today's newspaper, so you know the date, whatever it is. And then you're like, okay, we believe you. But yeah, there's something weird about that. I don't know.
Yeah, no. And, when he was talking to Jason Caperna and Janet was sitting there off to the side and he got both of them. He pulled out their heartstrings, and he was telling them, when Janet's husband, Jason, said, I think if you want to make things right with Brittany, then you need to make good on the mortgage because you really you guys are almost $100,000 behind in this mortgage, and he's like, I already have it under control. Like I talked to my manager, what we're going to do is this podcast, it makes about $1 million, a year. And I'm going to give her the second half like my half until we end up recouping and catching that mortgage up to speed. And then we pan over to Brittany with her braids, and she's like just sitting there talking to her mom, and her son is there. And I felt so bad for her, but he's messaging her and saying, you know, by the way, I talked to the bank and like the house is going to be foreclosed on and I'm not paying anymore as far as like the mortgage, and you're on your own. I'm like,
and then on the after show, she said he didn't, still to that day, whenever that filmed, he had not signed over his half of the RSS feed or whatever he was supposed to give her, which is valuable. Who, by the way, $1 million for Jax and Brittany? What? Like, that must have been a 1 year Scandival rate. Like, there's no way next year these two are making $1 million on anything, right?
well, I know another cast member. Hold on, let me see really quick. I'm just gonna do the math. Okay, so I know another cast member who is making about $70,000 a month on their podcast.
Right.
And so that's about 840,000 a year. But then you have to think like too, when you're doing these podcasts and you have your podcast networks, they're taking about 25, 30%.
Right.
And so that is coming out. And then of course you still got to pay taxes on it.
Right,
so
right.
Who knows, you know, but $1 million seems like a little bit of a stretch.
Right. Like, so we're talking probably more like 300, 400,000 take home.
Yeah.
That split in two ways. And then, because of course, if they had all this cash, there wouldn't be problems with the mortgage or problems with whatever they're having if they were bringing in $1 million. So you're right. They're not bringing in $1 million worth $1 million. I could see the RSS feed being possibly worth, but you know, those are different things. I don't know. And then he's talking about that. And then he's saying, and then we can't find the wedding ring. So do you have money? Do you not have money? Are you rich? Are you not rich? I don't know.
We're a little confused here,
Yeah.
Jax. Especially too, because, you know, when he was on House of Villains, he said that Brittany did a $2 million deal with Jenny Craig. And then, you know, you have the Valley money, and then you have this podcast money, and then you have all of your social media sponsorship money. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily make sense. But all in all, you guys, the Valley, if you are watching, I agree with Thea. I don't think that this was the most entertaining episode,
Right.
but it is about to get a lot more dark. So I don't need to give you guys a trigger warning. I don't think that requires one. I'm just letting you know that it's gonna take a turn, and
hopefully that will make people not turn people off. I mean, already people are saying it's too dark. I don't know. We'll see if that keeps up the ratings. But you know, it's a cheap show for them. So I think even if they don't get great ratings, they're coming back for season 3. And then I heard season 4, they're gonna do a spinoff even of the Valley, like split a show into 2 using some of the OG. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But I heard season 4 they're gonna be splitting, trying to split the show. So that because the whole entire cast isn't really gelling at this point. So maybe doing a show with half of them and half whatever. I don't know. That's what I heard.
wow, Thea, you're just like over here in the know, huh? You're just like a woman of the streets.
You know what I know about Jasmine that I think is just so random, but it is actually a very true story. Her publicist is Kristen's ex-publicist. And I know this because this girl used to be a really close friend of mine. And Kristen had this publicist for like the first 6 years of the show. And the girl like literally was a fan of the show and approached Kristen, and Kristen had just started the show and didn't have anyone. So she worked really hard for not a lot of money for like 6 years. And then Kristen dumped her. She went with a bigger firm. She was getting famous, whatever. And it really made her upset. She was super heartbroken about it. Well, along comes Jasmine and she's like, hi, I need a public, or maybe she approached Jasmine. Who knows? The point is she signed Jasmine. And when she signed her, it was 2 years after the incident between Stassi and Kristen and Jasmine. And you're going to never going to guess what her first thing that she did was, the publicist.
What?
She after 2 years, had Jasmine speak out about what they did, and they got fired. And it was all because she wanted revenge on Kristen for dumping her after being her publicist for 6 seasons on the show. I swear to God, this is true. Is that so bizarre?
No, it's Hollywood.
I know.
Yeah.
It's bizarre how people hold on to things and how that whole thing unfolded, because everyone was asking at the time, why did you wait so long to talk about this? Like, why didn't you talk about it right away? And then, whatever.
It is interesting, like watching the show. And I had somebody who is on the show ask me, Adam, do you think that some of the toxic behavior of Jax with what Brittany's coming forward with and flipping the tables and the bruise on the knees and, the way that he is communicating with Brittany, do you think that this could potentially harm the show or even his position on the show? And I used an example, and I don't know if you were an OC fan, but Bronwyn Wyndham Burke, who was on Real Housewives of Orange County, she came on and she had this husband and she had all of these kids and she had the bigs and the littles and all of it. And she just, everybody loved her first season. But then after that, it ended up turning into the next season. She came out and she's like, I never really loved my husband, Sean.
Right.
I'm a lesbian and I have punched him in the face multiple times. And it became really, really dark. So after she came to the reunion, Bravo announced, she shared what Bravo told her, and the fact that they felt, listen, we don't want to be affiliated with like contributing to this toxic behavior. So we're going to give you some pause time, which obviously inevitably meant you're never coming back to the show, but we're going to give you some pause time. We're taking you out of it because we don't want to be responsible for it when, God forbid, something goes wrong.
Right.
And lo and behold, but so that's why I look at this stuff. And when people ask me about the Jax and could this come to an end, the show as a whole, or
maybe
his position on the show, it could.
Right.
No,
it's hard to watch it when we're talking about actual physical abuse. I'm so shocked that the network hasn't done anything, but that with James, they hid that for a long time. So, I mean, I guess they would. This whole show was Jax's idea. He brought it to the network. He was begging them to do the Valley show forever. So I don't know, would they cut him out of it? I mean, they could, I'm sure. They just don't ask him back and go on without him. But it's not as easy because this is kind of his baby. And then also he's the source of a lot of the storylines on the show. So then you'd have to cut off your main storyline. But I mean, they covered up the Jax abuse forever. I mean, the James abuse forever. So maybe it's not the same producers as Bronwyn. I mean, I honestly would hope they would give Jax a season or two to clean up before he came back.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, guys. So we're going to move on from this specific show over to NextGen NYC, and clearly this one's going to be a little bit of a shorter recap, but it's because we got the premiere episode and I was just curious what everybody was going to think. At the end of the day, I asked Jason, I try to get Jason to watch these shows with me. He is just a huge Below Deck stan. Like, he will sit there and watch that all day, but some of these shows he's like, I can't listen to this, Adam. Like, you go to bed watching women screaming at each other. And I'm like, that's like music to my ears. You have no idea.
He watched Captain Lee scream at people.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
There's drama on those boats. There's huge drama on those
boats.
A
lot of drama on the boats,
but so he thinks it's like, okay, but no, it's a lot of it's the same.
And I was telling you before coming on, I think that NextGen NYC was their way of implementing sort of a new direction to grab a younger audience.
Right.
And I was kind of sharing that with Jason earlier, but Jason said, what's funny about that is that younger audiences now, people who are in like 15 to like 25, 30, they're watching YouTube. They're watching these different.
They're not the TV watchers, and they're honestly, they're not buying the stuff that's advertised on these shows either. Like, it's the less lucrative. The 40 to 60 crowd is like buying merch and buying advertised products, less than the younger kids too. So they're not as lucrative. But I see the same thing, a trend towards younger. I don't know what that is. I remember when they fired Captain Lee, they told him, we want someone more fresh. They literally said those words to him. So they do care about that. They do probably not want a geriatric network. So I don't know. But I feel like this show is cheap and they're trying something. I don't know if it's a trend or what, but I loved it. I don't know if you did.
No, I absolutely loved it. And I also think exactly what I said to you before we even came on. This is a business first and foremost. And I think at the end of the day, what they did was they took a chance to, one, appeal to a younger audience, and two, they did something that was really smart, which was they implemented children of housewives instead of going with a fresh new cast that we're not even aware of, like they tried to do with whatever that Paris show was,
right?
Making it in Paris or what. I don't even remember what the show name was. It was terrible, but they took Gia Giudice, Riley Burris, Brooks Marks, Ariana Bierman, and people who we are familiar with. So there is a certain level of the older audience as well that they are invested in.
Right, it's so smart. Get them both.
It's kind of like you're attacking both at the same time, but watching it, there was a big takeaway for me in this episode, and it was the fact that Ariana Bierman ended up sharing that her parents, Kim Zolciak and Kroy Bierman, literally drained her bank account without her knowing about anything, and that she was making all of this money for all of this time. She had this substantial income from reality TV, social media endorsements, all of this. And she found out 2 years ago that it was all gone. And I'm like, how does that work?
I mean, so in Hollywood, they make you, there's the Coogan clause, you have to give, you could, or only allowed up until the age of 18, 15% of your earnings in Hollywood. Your parents get the rest of it. It's just part of, protecting, and they have to put your money in a trust. There's a whole bunch of stuff to protect kids from their parents stealing their money, is what I'm saying. It's the opposite of that. So anyway, the point is, they obviously don't have that for reality TV and for all the brand endorsements and sponsorships that she was getting. So it's so sad. But also, her mom is an addict. She's a gambling addict. So of course her mom did that. Of course she took the money and gambled it. She's an addict. I mean, I don't know what Corey's involvement was, but I do know that obviously we all know that Kim has a gambling problem. So her mom was a gambling addict. The money was all going to her mom because she's a minor. So I feel like it was inevitable in that situation. Unfortunately, there aren't any laws to protect influencers or anything like that. They were all just Hollywood laws for Hollywood actors, SAG and Writers Guild. They're all protected, but they're apparently not protected. Maybe this will bring some awareness to what's happening with these kids' money, because there's a lot of people out there, kids, minors, that are making a ton of money on YouTube and Instagram. And I wonder what that's happening to any of them.
Yeah, exactly. And, it baffles me a little bit that, and I agree with Ariana's husband, or not husband, but boyfriend Hudson, who was like, your mom's asking for more money. You're sending her cash. What, like, you don't know what she's doing with it. Why? And she's like, it's none of your business. And he's like, at this point, it is my business. We've been together for almost a decade. Right. So this is kind of my business at this point. I kind of found that to be interesting, but also he sounds like a voice of reason a little bit in this moment, because I've had family members who have asked me before for help financially. Mm-hmm. And if they've asked me and they've told me about like a bill or something like that, and I never hear from them again, but I always tell them, I'm like, I'm not Venmoing you cash. Send me the link.
I'll pay it myself. Right.
Yeah, I'll pay it myself. Right. And I'm not sending you cash. So you can go and do whatever you want to do, because you have a job. You clearly are financially irresponsible, and not to sound like an a-hole, but it's like, I'm not going to sit there and contribute to that. So if I'm going to help you, then I'm going to know where my money is going. And
right, but you're mature enough to say that. She was a child when this happened. She didn't know to say that. All the money, you don't know anything. She just is now figuring this out, I feel like, as an adult, looking back, saying, wait, how much was I making? Where did that go? But I mean, I would hope by now. I mean, I saw that she tweeted out to her mom, I think yesterday, about how her mom was inspiration and she was the gateway for the show, and thanking her mom. So it looks like they're on great terms. And I don't know. I mean, obviously she had said on an interview that Croy had signed permission for her to talk about this. So Croy obviously wants that out there. And I guess her mom must not care, because they are still on good terms. But if I was Kim, I'd probably be a little upset about that dirty laundry being aired. I mean, but also Kim's savvy, and Kim knows this is the kind of stuff you need to stay on the air to have the show. That's going to make all the headlines. That's going to make people watch. So I don't know. Who knows how much of this is like a long game ploy to make more money off of her daughter if the show goes through the roof. I don't know. It's scary though.
And I love that we had Brooks Marks and his mom in the very, first 6 minutes. I love Meredith. I'm, good friends with Meredith. And I don't know if you guys remember, I got myself in some trouble in Salt Lake City last year.
How could we forget?
Yes. There was a whole phone call, whatever. But at the end of the day, I've known Meredith for a long time now. And I've definitely have like this own little separate relationship with her. There was actually one time, it was the BravoCon NBC party that Jen Shaw crashed, and when she was disinvited, and there was this guy, and I was sitting there talking to Brooks, and this guy came up and he was so aggressive with Brooks. And I totally just stepped in, and I was like, he just told you to leave him. What are you doing?
And Brooks was 18, right? I mean, that was the New York BravoCon. He was young.
Oh, he was young. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was 18. Yeah. And I was like, what are you doing? I mean, he was an adult at the time, but the guy was like, I'm not talking to you. And I was like, great, well, I'm talking to you. So, and Brooks looked at me and he was like, thank you. And then Meredith walked up and she's like, what's going on? And then Meredith kind of took it into her own hands and made the guy go away. And for Brooks, he really does not like conflict. And I don't like conflict either, but I'm also not a stranger to it in the sense that, like, if I see something, it's one of those, like, if you see something, say something. Like, I will definitely stick up for anybody in a situation where I can see that this is not right. And you see him and this Charlie Zakor guy who's on the show, who is associated with Lindsay Lohan and crypto, or not crypto, but crypto and stocks and, you know, trading and all of the things. And he's like, well, listen, I'm hanging out with your sister. And if, you know, like, you don't know where she's at or whatever, she's at my house. And I'm like, do you know how disrespectful that is, buddy? And he thinks that they're like homies, like bros. And I'm like, no, it's still his sister, his younger sister.
And I don't know how far the relationship goes, but as the girl who seems like she has a really great head on her shoulders, would you ever go on another date with someone who even sent that text about you? That's so creepy. Even to say to anyone that there's a possibility that I might go home with you after our first date is so demeaning and degrading to her. I hope that she doesn't go out with, I don't know. I mean, it could be a thing for the show where they have to do a little bit of flirting, but she seems so smart and so together. I can't see her putting up with that for that much longer.
Oh, I don't think that. I think it was totally for the show. I think that Meredith and Seth have really, really smart kids.
Right.
And I don't see that playing out much further than that. But another thing that I thought was really funny was Georgia, who is on the show. And if you guys did not watch the show, bottom left over here, Georgia is a native New Yorker. Okay, guys. And she has an interesting ordeal with hygiene, as far as she was raised not to wash her hands. She doesn't mind touching the bottom of shoes.
She combs her hair with a fork.
She combs her hair with a fork. She is the
Like
Little Mermaid. You know, I forgot what that little thing was called in The Little Mermaid by Scuttle, but a dingle hopper or something. But she does all of the things. And when they're in the bathroom, she's not washing her hands and they're calling her out. She's like, no, I don't wash my hands because germs are good for you. And then the girls are like, no, girl, don't touch me. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie, Georgia. I hear what you're saying, where like germs make you a little bit more maybe resistant to some of the things because your body is
toughen your immune system.
It toughens your immune system. Yeah. But I'm like, no, you can't just go pee and go into a dirty bathroom, not wash your hands, and then sit there and like give me a hug or like try to touch my face or anything like that. I'm like Howie Mandel, like from Deal or No Deal.
Oh, you are.
I don't even want to shake your hand.
You do the elbow thing instead of hugging.
I did live shows. It's funny, Thea. I did live shows in New York, Nashville, and LA. And when I did, I sounded like such an asshole, and Jason told me I had to stop, but I just wanted everyone to know before they came out to the live shows, we sold them out. I was just like, I'm not a hugger, and like, I'm really weird. And so it was actually kind of cute because people would come up to me and they would be like, hi, and like kind of fist bump me. And I'm like, hi, you know, but it's just, it's a personal preference where you just look at it and you're like, I am so sorry. And I'm not trying to be rude. I love you guys. I just can't do it. I get like weirded out. And for her, she is not weirded out.
I'm with her only because I grew up on a farm with 8 brothers and sisters with no electricity till I was 16, no running water. And we were so germy. And I kind of never got that aversion to germs that I probably should have. I do wash my hands because I also saw the movie Contagion, which was all about how you can literally like touch your face and die. So I am definitely a hand washer. But on the other hand, I'm not as repulsed by germs as I should be. I think you are on the right track with it. You and Howie Mandel are right, and I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know if we're right and you're wrong, but you know, like I just think at the end of the day, you know, it's just it can be a little strange for some people, but I do like that we have a very colorful group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Have some housewives, children. I like that we have it's Amira, yeah.
The transgender, right?
The transgender woman. And my God, she's stunning. And even Jason said yesterday, watching her, Jason was like, she is like the most gorgeous one on the cast.
Agreed. I could not keep my eyes off her for sure.
I'm like, there's no way. If I ever transitioned in my life, people used to always tell me, you'd be such a pretty girl. And I was like, I don't think so. But looking at her, I'm like, oh my God, you're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And obviously you're doing Victoria's Secret. You're doing all of these things. So we know that you're gorgeous. But moving on, this is one thing that's going to come out, you guys, and it's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be the Gia Giudice versus the Riley Burris of it all. I think that Gia, I just want to hear your opinion before we end up closing out of this. By the way, guys, you have to watch the show. I personally, I think it's really good. And I think that when people put their lives out there and they film a reality TV show, I think that we at least let's offer, like the opportunity for it to be a successful show. I'm just going to leave it at that. But like Gia tried to relate to Riley Burris in the sense that she was like, we both grew up, in the housewives world. Both of our moms were housewives. We're kind of like the same in that way. And Riley was like, no, we're not the same in that way. Like my mom is a Grammy award-winning music artist. She's well respected. Your mom went to prison. Like pretty much just like we are not the same. And
Gia's not ready for that conversation clearly in life at all. Like 0 sense. You know what's so funny? I had a conversation with somebody from the New Jersey cast. I'm not going to say who it is, but this is their direct quote. Cause I was like, I'm so confused as to, I know why you guys don't like Teresa, but like, why are you taking it out on her kids? Like these are her kids. They didn't do anything wrong. And this person said to me, I quote, they are such money grubbing little fame. Like they are obsessed with fame. And they were saying this about, and they're not children, they're adults. 2 of them are adults. So it wasn't like super, but I was so shocked to hear this from a cast member. And I, at that point was like, that's so rude. Like they're young, like let them grow into their own, like whatever. But I wonder, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand G at all, like why she doesn't have any sort of awareness about her mom. I never get that. Whether you love Teresa or don't love Teresa, there's lots of things to criticize. And I don't think you're ever going to get that out of Gia. I don't know.
See, and for me, I think it goes back to that original conversation that we had earlier. I don't think that it's like she is lacking in awareness about either one of her parents. I think it's more so like
she's sticking up on camera, right?
Yeah, she's putting up a united front, and I'm sure that she has a lot of conversations behind the scenes because Gia doesn't seem like a pushover. But Riley, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters to her. And she's like, all I'm trying to tell you is like, girl, we can be in the same social setting. And you want to sit there and you want to cheers with a martini, whatever you want to do, I'm good with it. We are not the same. We didn't grow up the same. And our parents are not the same. So that is the line in the sand.
So they have a feud. And then I thought Ariana also has one with her. Does she not? Or did just Riley and Gia? I don't remember what the gossip was.
Well, no, Brooks was talking to Riley, asking her like, well, you and Ariana Bierman were on the same show, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, what is your relationship like? And she's like, our parents had a rift, and honestly, like, we don't have a relationship. That was so long ago. I don't know her now. But I'm not going to lie. Like, I really like Ariana Bierman. I used to find her and that whole family just to be very obnoxious.
Right.
But watching her as a standout, like a standalone, I'm like, no, I like her.
No, so far, I loved when she said to him, I insist on paying half the rent. I mean, come on, like that, this guy's dad is a billionaire with a B, a billionaire. They're never going to run out of money in that family. They're thriving businesses the money flow will never end. So her $6,000 is not going to mean anything to this kid and his family. And yet she's saying, I insist, which I thought was pretty, like, unlike a lot of other Nepo babies.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, you're going to have to keep on watching when it comes to the Valley. It is about to get darker and more twisted, so keep an eye out. And then as far as NextGen NYC, keep an eye out. And then starting next week, we get the Real Housewives of Miami. So we have lots of things coming up.
So I'm very excited for that, for sure.
I'm super excited as well. And, it's funny because Thea and I have something in common. We both have somebody who we have been on their show, Heather McDonald. I saw this on her Instagram. Absolutely love Heather.
My old boss, Elaine Goldsmith Thomas, who was Jennifer Lopez's producing partner, used to be Julia's, is going on her show this week. I was like, my worlds are colliding.
I love that. And you're a published author. We have the Real Housewives Ultimate Trivia book. Oh my God, how many books have you actually done?
Well, I wrote Amber Portwood's memoir from Teen Mom, and then these two, the Vanderpump Rules trivia book and the Housewives trivia book. So 3 books.
3 books. Okay, so real quick, the interview, I went to Chattanooga State Technical Community College, and I needed an interview in order to get an internship in LA before I left. Packed up my Ford Fusion, had $3,000 in my bank account, and I was in communications class with Macy Bookout from Teen Mom. And she gave me an interview, like a tell-all little interview, because we were friends. and she helped me land my internship. So I'm
Aw.
forever grateful and also tied to the teen mom world in a weird way. But yeah.
Yeah, I talk to Amber all the time and I get a lot of flack from it, but I love Amber. So nothing, you can't say anything bad about her to me. I know I get her behavior is very bad, but she has a lot of illnesses. So I have a huge heart for Amber. I spent a lot of time writing that book with her. So it's hard to criticize her to me, but I get it. I get why people have problems with her, but I'm just saying she's a very, very, very sick person and getting a lot of care, and I love her.
I think that that's just exercising compassion and being a human being. So, you know, I appreciate that. And, you know, for people who don't know though, Thea, will you let them know where you can be found, what you have coming up, what you do, why people should be like looking for you, just all of the good things. It's almost like this is Shark Tank. Give us a pitch, Thea.
So my Instagram page is Your Moms Are Watching. Long story for that name, but that's the name. And in the highlights, those circles that you see, I tell a lot of stories about working in Hollywood because I was a development girl in Hollywood. I worked for a lot of people like Julia Roberts and Jennifer Lopez and Leonardo DiCaprio and all the big people. So and you can read those stories in my highlights that I feel like people are always interested in it, even though it's 20 years ago. And I have a little YouTube show called Talk Tea with Thea, where I interview my Hollywood friends. And so I interviewed Joe I just started it last month. So as you can see, I only have a few, but Robin Lee, who wrote the book Idea of You for that movie with the Anne Hathaway movie, she was one of my guests, and Joe Wenberg was one of my guests, and producer of Final Destination. So I just have some eclectic people in there, people I've known through the years. My friend Eric Palladino, who's a big actor who was on ER and in a lot of shows. He was my guest, and my friend Jack Plotnick, who is just a hilarious character actor from Reno 911, is on. So I don't know. It's just me talking to friends, but check it out. It's not breaking the internet, but it's really just an excuse for me to catch up with people I know through the years. And I'm just a mom that lives in New Jersey. I'm working on. I have a book deal with HarperCollins to write a novel version of I used to blog on the internet for the. For a big website, and it's called D-Girl Diary, and it's all about being a development girl in Hollywood, and I'm making it into a novel for HarperCollins. So that's what I'm working on.
Hey,
I know.
We love that. We love some moves. We love some moves, Thea. Okay, well, guys, obviously you need to go to Instagram and go to Your Moms Are Watching. That way you can follow everything that Thea is doing, especially when she does drop all of this exciting information and all of these projects are completed. And you need to just, you know, it's kind of one of the best things on here for the Up and Adams family community. We've all built this together. And I think that the premise of it was just everybody supporting each other. And I think that that's super, super important. And of course, we're going to be back to cover both of these shows. But in the meantime, I just wanted to also let you guys know, if you are just tuning in and you weren't here earlier, Jason has been working his ASS off on our new site, upandadamlive.com. That's going to be 2 weeks old as of Friday. But Jason, he added a new activation. Oh, and look, as you can see, he's already adding more content.
Up to the minute content.
Up to the minute. Or, you know, we have an incredible group of writers. So I don't know who just wrote these new articles, but we have Lexi, Joanne, Tyler, Gelsey, me, Jason. On the site, you can go. You have trending news, you have our YouTube channel, you also have our podcast, you can see reviews, blind items, and as of Monday, we're adding a new activation to the site that is going to be a watch party live chat. So just kind of like what you guys are doing right now, when you're in the live chat with us, talking about all of our favorite shows in real time as we're watching them, you can go to upandadamlive.com and we're going to continue the discussion. But I love you guys. It is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. It's rainy here. Don't forget to smash the like button, show some love. Go follow Thea at Your Moms Are Watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me on, Adam. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thanks, Thea. See you guys later.